All right, now that we've been able to work on the follow and unfollow, we'd want to work on the posts, right? So let us first of all go into our models, and then I'm going to create a post model. So I'm going to say post.model.js. Okay, now that we have post.model.js, we can basically go into the user model here, and then we can copy everything here and then paste it here. Then what we can do is we can just change this into post, right? And then we can change this into post schema. Then over here I can just copy this, come here, paste it here, right? Yeah, we've already imported this other ones. So looking at these, I can just copy. Yeah, I can just come back here and just copy these ones. Okay, so I'm just taking them off. Then here what I'll do is I have my user ID that I'm going to pass. So the user ID failed. Type is going to be a type of I mean, since every post is going to belong to a particular user, so this, sorry, type string, right? So type string, then we have required. It has to be required because every user is going to own a post. Okay, so after we've been able to set up every user having their own post, we can move on to the next thing, which is a description, right? So every post is going to have a description, which is this. We can do that this, and then we can say it's a type of what? It's a type string, right? Now that we know that it's a type string, we can come to the next one, which is image, right? We can come to image, and then the image here, we can set that to a type of string too. Okay, so we can set that to the type string. Okay, now that we set that to string, we want to go to the likes, because every post would have a like. So I would say likes. Okay, and then I could set that to a type array, right? Then we can set that to the default. The default is going to be array in general. Okay, so now that we've been able to set this up, let's not forget our timestamp. So over here we have the timestamp so that we can be able to check when the post was updated and all this and all that information. So timestamp going to be what? True. Okay, set that up real quick. Okay, now that we have the post schema going on well, what can we do next? What we can do is we can create our service and then a controller in the route, right? So let's go into the services part, and then I would say post.service.js. Okay, post.service.js. Then inside post.service.js, I can just go into the user part here. Okay, so as you can see, we have our functions and then the bcrypt and then the model, right? So bcrypt is basically a different package that we use to do something here. So in general, all we need inside as our services is the model that we are picking, right? So let's go back. Since we know this concept, let's go back here and then import our model. So I'm going to say import what? Post model. Here I can import post model. Then I can say, oh, I can import it from where? I can import it from, then I'll bring in the directory, the model, then I'll then post.model.js. Okay, now that we have post.model.js, what do we do next? We now have const create posts. Okay, so we have to create this functionality. It's going to be an asynchronous function. Now an asynchronous function that takes in body. Okay, that takes in the body in general, right? So how do we work with this in general? With the body that it takes in, okay, with the body that it takes in, here's what we're going to do. We're going to have a try catch block as usual, and then we're going to throw the error that we get. Okay, the error that we get, right? Then inside here we can create like a variable. We can create a variable saying new post. Okay, new post is going to be equal to what? New. Then we take the post model that we called there. Then inside the post model we can pass in the body parameter. Okay, then over here we can say that return once these things once we are able to pass this in, right? Once we are able to pass this, we want to say that let's await first. So we await this new post dot save, right? And then with the brackets here, right? Then after we've been able to await, we can return new post. Okay, now that we have new post here that we are returning, we can basically just export, right? So export the const new create post. Okay, so once you've been able to export it, let's go into the controllers and create it. So I would say post dot controller dot what js. Okay, so post dot controller dot js. Now what do we do in post dot controller dot js? We can just export. So we say export const create post controller create post con. Now I would say it's an asynchronous function. It's an asynchronous function that takes in a request and a response, and then over here the function opens we forgot to bring yes. Now the function opens up. Let us clean this. Okay, so this is a try catch block. Then here I'm going to say res. Let me just go and pick up this no, let me just pick up this type of, then we just input whatever we do inside. My mouse. My mouse. What is wrong with my mouse? Okay. So my mouse is working well now. Okay. So I copy this, come into the post section, and paste it. Now what do I do? Okay, I can clean this real quick. Sorry. Now I can say const new post that we are getting is going to be an await. Then the await is going to be what? Create posts that we are getting from the service, right? So .js, let's not forget .js is very important. So create post. Then what are we passing inside? We are passing in what? The request.body, or everything that we pass into the request.body. Feel me? So now that we have this, we can basically bring this out and say new post, right? Then it's going to give us a new. Then we can say post has been created successfully, right? Then over here we can have an object. We can have objects here, right? So I can say message object that says what? Message object that says what? Post creation failed. Okay, then we log out. We rest the error as well. Okay, so yeah, like I said, we need to keep this in an object. So okay, so now that this is all set up, we can go into the routes now. Okay, so inside the route, I'm gonna say post dot route dot js, post dot route dot js. Then over here, I can just import my router. It's a little too long. Let's just copy. Right, so I'm going to take this. I'm just going to click here and then hold Alt and click here as well. Press Ctrl C to copy, and then over here I'll just paste this. Then all I have to do is export default router. Okay, now that we have this set up, we can go into the routes part, and then we would import this and then say post, right, post, and then we can basically import this and say I'll put the cursor here, hold Alt, put cursor here also, and I'll say post routes, post dot routes as well. Then over here I'll say post routes. Right, now that I have this working, I'll go into the post routes here. Then I'll set up the route for creating it. So what I can say is router dot post right. Now inside router dot post, I can say okay, so yeah, just leave it like that, right? Or we could make it more descriptive. We can make it more descriptive, like create post, right? Okay, sure. So now that we have this, then we can pass in the controller that we had here. Okay, create post controller. So where, yeah, the route, post route, yes. So create post controller is what we are going to pass. Okay, it has been imported successfully. It said what? Cannot find the module. Okay, this is a bit weird. Oh, come on. So I'm going to get in. I'm going to go in here. Okay, we are taking this create post. Okay, we are passing this into. Okay, let me go into this. Okay, inside the routes, let me check how we are importing this. Post.controller.js. This is very important. Like I said before, it's very important. So now that we have this, we can test it out, right? So I can open up my Postman, and then I would create like a new folder for this. So I would say add folder, and the folder here I can name it posts, right? And then I'll add a request, and the request is going to be a post request. Okay, so post request, then I would say something like let me put this one there, then I'll say something like posts. Okay, so the post is what is inside, is what I set up here, posts, and then I'm going to say create post. Okay, create post. Okay, then I'll set that up here as well, create post, then I'll save. Okay, so now we have the name and everything changed here. Okay, now inside the body, what we need to do is take into raw, then JSON. Then we need to take in the user ID passing through the body. So the user ID is what we are going to pass. So I'm going to say where is my mongodb? Said ask me later. Let me check. Okay, yeah, the mic still works. So I'm trying to open mongodb. Can we get users here? No, we didn't set that up. We can only create users. Okay, let me take in one of the users that we already have here. We just log in and then take the person's details. So Amma. Okay, we can now get into the database. Oh, we are not getting Amma's data. Okay, let me just go into YT social. Okay, so I'm going to take Amma's user ID. I'm going to go into post, drop it inside. Then over here we add a description that we made, and then I'll say this is a test description. Okay, this is a test description. Then for the image we can pass in test image.png. You know, it's going to come. We are going to work on it as in pass it in as a link, right, so that we can render it on the front end. But for now, here's how we're going to do it. And then if I send, okay, so we have this. Then if we go into the database for the posts right now, we should be able to see it here. Okay, so now let's work on updating a post. Okay, now in order for us to be able to update a post, we need to work on a put request for the post, right? So now how do we do all that? Let us first of all go into our services. Okay, then I'll go and then say, oh, we already have post service, sorry. So I'll go here, so I'll just copy this real quick. Okay, then I would paste it here. Then I'll simply have to say update posts. Okay, update post. And then here we don't need this also, right? We don't need this also, and then we don't need this too. So what do we do now? Okay, so we are going to say const post, right, or updated post, however you want to call it. Updated post. So how are we going to find this updated post? Okay, we are going to find this updated post by taking, so we are going to await, right? Now what are we awaiting? We are going to await and then take the post collection, that's the post model, and then we are going to find by ID and then update. Okay, so we'll find by ID and update. How? Right, we are going to first of all take the request.params, right, but we don't take the request.params over here. We can simply change this to params so that we know that it's the params a request.params argument that we are going to be passing through. So over here we can say params. Okay, so we can say params dot id, right, and then now that we have this set up, we can open this up and then see and pass in the function that we want to pass in. So we can say set. Okay, so what are we setting? We are setting whatever that we pass to the request of body, right? So instead of writing request of body, we don't write that. We can easily come and add that here by saying body. Okay, then over here we can pass in body, right? Exactly. Then now that we have that working, we can make sure that at the end here we can add the new keyword so that we can receive the updated version of the updated user. Okay, nice. Now that we have this, we can now return, just in case it's successful, we can return the updated post. so that we can find it in the response, okay, that we are receiving. So I'm going to return what updated post. Okay, now before we can be able to perform all these actions, we want to make sure that the post user ID is equal, the post user ID that we are finding is equal to the user ID inside the user ID that we are going to pass through the body, right? So basically here's what we're going to do, right? I can over here I can create like an if statement here to check, to make these checks, right? So if I could do if else. Okay, we could do if else. So if I say if else here, so okay, so okay, in order for us to even do this, okay, let me do this real quick. Instead of setting this up here like this, what we can do is we can actually now find the post separately, right? And then before we do anything, we can perform the check, right? So we can take const post here, okay, then we can take the post dot model, right? Let's await it. So await post model, right? Then we find by the ID, okay. Then the ID we pass in what? The ID we pass in the params dot ID, okay. We pass in the params dot ID, and after we have that, what do we do again? We now come and do our if else check. Okay, so inside the if else condition check, okay, what do? We say that this post dot user ID should, if it is equal to the request dot body, okay, the request dot body the user ID that we have, right? So we could say something like body dot what user ID, no, user ID, okay, body dot user ID. If it's equal to it, then it can do the following for us. Now what can it do? Right, we can basically await, right? We can await what? This post model that we imported. No, put this post model dot what? Update one. Okay, so we can update one. Now how do we update one? We could update one by setting it, right? So we can set that. Okay, so now when we set, what are we setting in this case? We are going to set in the request body, so I can just pass in the body, okay. Then hopefully we should be able to set the new here as well. Yeah, let me try. Is it possible? Never done that before, but hopefully it works. So we'll test it in general. Then now that we've been able to work on that, we can now return the post, right? We can now return the post. So after you have worked on this, if it's not a condition, right? If that's not a condition, if there are two different user IDs, then we can throw back an error, right? We can throw new error that says what is the new error going to say? You can update only your posts, okay. Then now that we've been able to set this up, we can return, I think we can return post, can we? Let's try. So return posts, okay. Yes, so it's possible. Then now that we've been able to do this, yeah, let's take this out. Okay, so let's do it. Okay, I think post is okay, or updated posts. Updated posts. You can update only your post. Okay, sure. Now that we've been able to work on this, we can go into the controller, copy this, and then export const. I can say update post controller, now say updated post, right? Then I'll say update posts. Okay, then update post, we are passing in what are we passing through the update post? If you check through, we have two parameters, params and body, right? So we can just pass in request of params in the first one, and then request of body in the second. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We can say we already have request of body, so we just say request dot params. We just say request of params. Then over here we can pass in the updated post. Okay, then we can say post has been updated successfully. Okay, so post update failed. Okay, post update failed. Okay, sure. Now that we have this working as we expect it to, or we have this set up as we expect it to, we can now go into our post route and then set up the one for update posts, right? So we can just write update posts and create posts. Okay, so the update post route is going to take router dot put. Then over here I can say what I can over here I can set up the route to take in. So I can say update posts, and then we can take in the ID at the end here, right? And then which controller are we going to use? We are going to use the update post controller. Okay, so now that we have this working, or have this set up as we expect it to be set up, we can now test it, right? So inside my postman, I can basically duplicate this. I can duplicate this real quick, and then I would rename it to update posts. Then I can change this to put. Then I can change this to update posts. Okay, now that I have this set up to update post, I can come into the body. We already have the user ID here. Okay, so we can copy this user ID here, paste it at the end here. Okay, so I'm going to first of all change something. Oh no, just going to change something here. So let me add one more for, and then I'll say this is a test description update. Okay, then I just want to update the description. Okay, so let's now test to see if it works. So take this out. Okay, so post update failed. Okay, supposed to throw in a normal error, so let's check what is going on. Okay, it said at position 92. Okay, we have to see what's going on. Okay, cannot read properties of user ID. uh it's okay. So it has to be request.params.id, request.body.user.id, right? So if I go into the controller, request.params.id and request.body.user.id, that's what we should be able to pass in here, right? So you should be able to read. Let's save things here, or let's just remove this because I've not seen. Okay, and then let's go back and test. Can it be properties of user ID? I'm passing in the user ID too. Okay. Okay, update post service. Yeah, but I'm passing in updated posts dot user ID. Okay. Okay, we are supposed to take in the post ID rather. Yeah, you're supposed to take in the post ID rather. So let's just undo these ones. Okay, so let's just undo these ones. Suppose to take in the post ID rather. So here, over here, we can go into postman and then go to the database, go for this ID and then put it here. Okay, then we can try. Let me manipulate this. Okay, you can only update your posts like we expected here. Okay, so over here, what we can do is can go back and then give it the original one, then hopefully we should receive the right response. What is it? Okay, let's clear this. I think the error is coming from here because I was just trying to test it out and see if it works. So obviously it doesn't. So let's just set it and go on, do what we are usually familiar with. Okay, so I removed it and then it worked. I just thought it might work if we did that, but okay, it worked. So if we go into the database right now and then we refresh, we should see this is the test description update. Okay, so the update of the post works. We can move on to delete. So when we go into the post routes to come and to delete, we can copy and paste, right? But we will start getting errors. So let's just go into the post service and work on that first. So over here, if we come, I can just copy that, right? I can just copy that simply, come down, paste, right? Now if I paste, what we are going to do now is we already have this. I can just change the name to delete post, right? So delete post, then inside we are going to call this. So I'm going to say deleted post, right? So deleted post, await post model. Then inside here we have a params.id. Then if this deleted post, right? If this deleted post.user ID, right, is equal to the user ID that we are passing through the body, then we should do this. But if it's not, you can only delete your post, or you can delete only your post, right? Now over here we don't want to use update one over here. What we want to do here is we want to go into this collection and then we want to delete one. Okay, Now what are we trying to delete? Okay, we are deleting that particular post out, right? So over here we can return that post that we deleted if we wanted to. So I'm just going to yeah, so now I've set this up. Now that we've been able to set this up like we want to, I can basically open up the controller here. Okay, let's check and make sure everything is correct. You don't need a body, so yeah, I think we do need a body because of this. Yeah, so let's go into the post controller and then let's export this post deletion field. Then post has been deleted successfully. Then I'll say delete. Okay, then I'll say okay. Okay, so we changed the name to delete post controller. We set the variable to deleted post, then we changed the thing here. Okay, so yeah, obviously we get the deleted post back. If there's an error, we get the error and then let's go into the routes here, the post routes here, and then I can now copy safely, paste, and then I can write the comments here. So I can say delete post. So over here we can just set this to delete. Then here we can say delete post. Then we can take in the ID here, and then over here we can just say delete post controller. Okay, now that we have this, what are we going to do? We can go into postman, and then we can duplicate this one more time. We can duplicate this one more time and then delete post. Okay, we can delete post here, then we can save and then change this to delete instead, save as well. Then inside the request body we already have this user ID being passed through, and then the post ID at the top there, right? So what we can do is just delete, and then we should see it gone. It said what? Delete post. Is that no? That's it has to be delete. Yeah, it has to be delete. Okay. Then I'll save and then I'll send. What went wrong? What went wrong? What went wrong? What went wrong? You can only delete your post. Okay. Let's go in and then take. Let's go in and take the post ID. Okay, let's take the post ID. Then go back into postman and then paste the ID there. Now take the user ID as well. Then I'll paste it here. If you go and check here, it said you can delete your post only if the deleted post that we pass through the ID, that post's user ID is equal to the user ID that okay, sure. So we're just going to have to correct this so that it becomes deleted post, so it takes it from here rather instead of here. Okay, so I'm saving, and then I've been saved successfully. Okay, but why is it still yellow though? It must change. Hopefully it will change. So let's just go and test. Okay, so I'll test. Okay, so this is the post that we were able to deleted successfully. If I check, yes, it has been deleted. And if I go back to try to create a post here, it should be here. Alright, thank you very much for getting to this point of the video. I really appreciate your time and patience. In the next video, we'll move on to liking a post and the other ones. Thank you very much. Hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Bye.